Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Well, this video was requested by another YouTube user about finding out what's wrong with his car and how to troubleshoot it. Now this is based on the Radio Shack 64 Impala. And that's what this one is. Of course, mine's got a different paint job because I customized it. So we're going to start with checking out the battery first, how to go about doing that. A lot of people just don't know how to do this stuff. So you're going to need a multimeter. Preferably a digital one is actually best. You can buy these things cheap or you can buy expensive ones. This one is more of the middle of the road. It's not overly expensive, but it was, when I bought it, it was about 40 bucks. This one here I picked up actually at Home Hardware. I believe I paid about $6 or $10 for it, somewhere around there. It's pretty cheap. So we'll use it, okay? So put your meter setting onto 20 volts DC volts, okay? Start there. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your positive negative probes, red to red, black to black. Stick the probes in the holes and line get the probes to touch the connectors. Now I'm reading 10.33 volts on my multimeter. Let me see if I can get this to. Let's put this on an angle. Actually jumping a little bit. Okay, so 10.3 volts is what I'm reading. So I know my battery has got good voltage. Doesn't mean that I got good milliamps, but theoretically, if your voltage is up and it's where it should be for a 9.6 volt battery, which is over 10 volts, then your milliamps in your battery should also be good. So you should have a good battery. Okay, so we know our battery is good. We can eliminate that. The transmitter's next. Check out your 9 volt battery. Back to the 20 volt setting. The battery is marked negative here, which is your larger connector on the 9 volt battery. So that's negative, and the other one's positive. Now I'm showing 8.22 volts, 8.23 volts. Now that's actually more than enough to run the transmitter without running out of range too easily. So if it drops below 8, well, yeah, you're going to have some problems. But 8.2, 8.3 volts, it's good. It's still alright. It's enough that, you know, if you're close enough to the car, it's definitely going to be able to activate the car. So that shouldn't be a problem there. So we're all good with our battery for now. We can put that back in. Also, for those of you who haven't touched your car in eons, remember there is an on and off switch. Make sure it's in the on position. Okay. Now, the first thing you're going to do is actually put your battery into your car and try it out now that you know your battery's good. I'm going to plug the battery in. Now I hot wired my car, so I don't have a power switch, but I'm going to show you actually how to troubleshoot a power switch too. So here our battery's in. We're going to turn our remote on. Functions. Everything's good. Steering works. Reverse, forward. All of our hydraulic stuff works. So that's all good. So we know my car is working perfectly. If you got the same reaction, your car's good. So now if your battery hasn't been charged in a long time, you might want to stick it on the charger. And you're going to find that out when you do the voltage test if it's below the 10 volts. You might still be able to run this at around 9 volts, maybe 8.5 volts. You should still be able to maybe run the car if that's what it comes up with on the tester. But I would still, if it's below 9 volts or 9 volts and below on your car battery, okay, your big one here, then put it on the charger for a couple hours and give it a charge. So now we know my car is working perfectly. But we still need to check the switch, because that's the next thing you're going to want to troubleshoot, because your car isn't running right now. So to take apart this car is not very complicated. It can be a little bit of a pain, but it's not complicated. So you've got a screw here on your front fender, and make sure you keep your screws grouped together so you know exactly where they came from, because they are different sizes. Now those are my side bumper screws for the front. I'll take out the inside ones. These also have different heads on these ones, so they're pretty easy to remember. Nope. There we go, that one's out. And that one's out. So the two long ones have this kind of head on them for the front bumper underneath here, so that's where they go. And the short ones we pulled out, they also have a different head and they're a different length. They go in the sides. Now you may or may not be able to pop the bumper off right away. Chances are probably not. Now I'm going to take out our rest of our screws here. These ones are fairly long. Now I don't have all original screws in mine either, but they're pretty close. This thing's been through hell. Okay. I've got nothing in there. So that's fine. So we need these two screws out. It's been a while since even I took this apart. There we go. Okay, body is off. So we actually didn't have to remove, well actually we did have to remove the two on the inside, but the bumper screws we actually didn't have to remove. Last time I took this apart I removed the bumper, it was just easier. So, power switch. Where did I put the wiring for that? Oh, I shoved it all inside here. Yes, I did. Okay. So I'm going to take the cover off. I really did bury that thing in there really good, didn't I? Okay. So, pull this screw out. One thing you want to check for on the back of the PCB board, which is this, which is actually your receiver board and speed control and all that all in one. And that ain't coming out. So, we're not pulling that out. We're going to have to find the wires and see where I stuck them in here. Oh yeah, that's right. I soldered that down in place. So, we're going to have a little bit of a problem getting at the switch wires, unless I can pull them out here somehow. There we go. Got them. Okay, so these are going to be your two wires. You've got a red wire and you've got an orange wire. Now these normally would connect to your power switch. Of course, like I said, I hot wired my car. Okay, but we do have a whack load of switches here. This is your basic on and off switch. And actually, I'll get one that is exposed. There. Okay. Now, I'm going to do this with alligator clips just so that it's a lot less hassle. Now, what you would normally do, because your switch would be mounted in place in here, you'd be able to just touch the probes, turn the power switch on, and you'll see what's going to happen. Now, this meter doesn't make any noise when I do a continuity test, so I want to give you the noise maker here. Okay, so when you hear that beep, it means the switch is on. Turn it the other way, no beep. So let's say we're in the switch area here. Now our wiring is going to be good because our orange wire is soldered to the board, it's still solid, and our red wire goes to one side of the power connector for the battery, and the black wire off of the battery connector goes to the other end of the board over here. So it's really easy to trace these two wires. Okay, no problem at all. But if you guys still got your original power switch in your car and you haven't hot wired it like mine, then you'd be in this sort of a position where you've got to touch your probes, one on each side of the switch. When it's in what should be the off position, you should not get any noise at all. When you turn the switch on, you should get this. Okay? Now that's saying 0, 0, 0. It's all good. We got noise being made. Turn it off, it goes back to 1 here. So, we know our switch is good. Everything's good. If your battery is good for your car, if your transmitter battery is good, then and your transmitter switch works, then all that should be good. Now, given that you don't find any broken wires at all here, your switch turns out it passes, it's good, it functions properly according to the meter, you know, sets off the little alarm there. All that stuff is good and still nothing. That's when you're going to need to actually take apart your remote, because if you've ever dropped your remote, things can get broken. And switches do wear out, especially guys that have used their car a lot. You know, a power switch is only going to last for so many on and off cycles, and eventually they break down. So to test the power switch in here is going to be the exact same process as you would do it in your car. So I'm not taking my remote apart. I don't want to disturb it. It's never been apart. But that's the same process. You go through on your remote, check your wires, make sure your connections are all connected properly inside, check the power switch out, make sure that, you know, it beeps when it's on and doesn't beep when it's off, and your remote should be good. Okay. Other than that, if all else fails, you've probably got a dead receiver board. A lot of guys, I was no better when I was younger. Okay, we drove these things through water and all kinds of stuff. That can kill them, you know, and which means your receiver board is definitely shot at that point. In which case, the only fix for that is to actually see if you can find a car on eBay that's still, you know, it's in rough shape or whatever, good for parts, but it's running, you know, because you're going to get a lot cheaper if it's in rough shape but running, and you want one that's running anyways because you're going to need to replace that board. So, but yeah, I did put that back in. But that's how you check it, that's how you test things. And like I said, if all else fails and it still doesn't work, take your remote apart, check that power switch out, make sure it's functioning, because there's no light on this thing at all, to tell you that it's actually on. So you could accidentally leave your radio on, which won't hurt anything, but you know, it'll kill your battery, but, you know, if your batteries check out and everything, just like I said, you know, next is the radio. Check and see if anything went wrong in it. You know, I mean, I can shake mine and nothing's flying around loose in there. I can hear it. So if you can hear something flying around loose, you may have something that's broken off, a contact or something. You never know. So look into it. And that's about as best as I can tell you on how to troubleshoot this thing and check it over for all the functionality. Now, if your car is working and it's running, you know, it's driving, but your hydraulics don't work, okay, that could be the motor that runs the hydraulics for the up and down and left and right. There's, you know, individual motor drives for that and gears, and, you know, so that's a whole other ballpark altogether. That at that point is find yourself another car and just replace that stuff. Anyhow, that's it. That's all. Hopefully this helps the guy who requested this video, and he'll be able to test all this stuff, and you guys too that are looking for a video about this on how to test this stuff out. Hopefully this video helps you guys too. So anyhow, thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.